And welcome into the television version of Strategies for Living. I'm marriage and family therapist David McMillan. Delighted that you've tuned in and joined with me today. Strategies where we're all about helping us live healthier, happier, and more peaceful lives in our bodies, in our minds, in our spirits, in our relationships here in the 21st century. And we have life strategists that join us to help us out. And today's life strategist is an important one for me, as I'm going to pick his brain today. He's Mr. Jim Jones, who is the president of GENCOM, and that stands for Genealogical Computer Society.
Right.
Jim, welcome to Strategies for Living, and thanks for being here.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
You never know, Mr. Jim Jones, who will fall out of your family tree when you start shaking a little bit.
That's right.
I shook mine here not long ago. I've told this story to you, but let me tell our viewers. Bear with me here for a second. I did on the radio program. I've been doing the radio program for 22 years or so, and I got to thinking I've never done a program on genealogy, and so I invited a gentleman to come on and talk about genealogy with me. He'd also written a novel that was somewhat based on his genealogical research that he and his wife were doing. And it spurred me to do a little bit on my own. I knew my grandmothers. I'm 56 years old now. I knew my grandmothers growing up. My grandfathers had both passed away before my birth, or I have a 12-year-old older sister and 9-year-old older brother. They didn't know my grandfathers either, so they were just names to us. Yeah. After visiting with this gentleman on the radio, he told me about some sites that you could go to and begin to plug things in and learn more. So I did that, and that was kind of neat. I lost a little sleep. I'm one of these people that go to sleep like clockwork, about 9:30 to 10, but I was up till 11 and 11:30 to the point my wife was saying, "What's wrong with you?" but this is kind of addictive, I've learned.
It definitely is.
We'll talk a little bit about that. Anyway, I finally found the name of my grandfather, who way back in memory, I knew my grandfather, my father's mother's father was Raymond Bourdillon. And in researching Raymond, it took me back to the census of 1850. And lo and behold, Raymond was one of many children, 12 or 13 children in that family. And so, wow, I thought, I'm going to get my great-great-grandfather's name, right? But it didn't tell. All it said was Bourdillon. And so I said, oh, geez, I kind of hit a wall. I looked down the list. I'd already looked for Raymond's birth certificate and stuff like that. I couldn't find it. But a younger brother was Pierre Bourdillon. So I said, well, I'll go there. And I did. And sure enough, up popped Pierre's, I think it was either birth certificate or baptismal certificate. And there was the name of my great-great-grandfather, Hippolyte Bourdillon. I thought to myself, well, now I know why you just put Bourdillon on the census of 1850. And I thought, it was about 11:30 by the point that I got Hippolyte's name. And I said, I've done a good night's work. I kissed my wife, turned out the light, and went to sleep. I had just, Jim, gone to sleep. And all of a sudden, my wife says, you're not going to believe this. And I'm, awake. And I said, what? I didn't know what she had found. She said, I just Googled Hippolyte Bourdillon. And she showed me the computer. She showed me an image of a cabin. She said, Hippolyte Bourdillon's house is a tourist attraction in Marksville, Louisiana. They charge people to go through it.
Yeah.
And as it turned out, the story is that Pierre lived in the house until the 1940s. In the 1970s, the Bourdillon family, donated the house, a little 2-room house with a chapel out back. They donated it to the city of Marksville. And Marksville moved it to the center of town, made it a museum, and started charging people to go through it. I can't even tell you, Jim Jones, the feeling that, now I haven't been down to Marksville yet to see the place, but I can't wait. It's on my to-do list, short-term to-do list.
Yeah.
But the feeling that goes along with that, this stuff is addictive.
Yeah, it is. It certainly
Is my story a common story, or am I crazy?
It's very common, and as you were talking, I could think of events that I have gone through and what I have found in my family's life. And, genealogy is gathering all the facts and figures, and you put that on a piece of paper, and that bores people. But I like to go a little bit deeper. I like to find out something like you did about the stories behind these people, and that's what makes it interesting.
I can't even tell you, I'm not sure I can describe the feeling in a word or two, but it was a sense of, I know where I came from.
Yeah,
I know a little
right.
bit about it. I mean, I don't know all of where I came from, but I know a little bit more of where I came from than I did before. And there was a certain sense of peacefulness is the best word that I guess I can put on it.
Once I traced my Jones line back to Georgia for sure, I've made several trips from up into Alabama, Georgia, and South Carolina. And I had land records, and I had locations of cemeteries, and I actually found the land that my Joneses, my third and fourth great-grandfathers owned. I found a little cemetery in somebody's yard that they had old tombstones, and they kept it up.
Wow.
I was able to go there, talk to them, take pictures, walk on the land that they farmed, and that was an experience for me.
Now, your club, GenCom, Genealogical Computer Society.
Yes.
How have computers impacted genealogy? It must be massive.
It's more than massive. It's hard to explain because back before 2000, when you got ready to do genealogy work, you went to the libraries.
It was work.
It was work.
Yeah.
You went to the libraries, pulled out the microfilm on the census records. You looked at books. You looked at the microfilm they had. You went to courthouses. And you still do that. You still got to do a lot of that work. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. That I can get on the computer now and you give me the name of a couple and maybe some dates of their marriage, death, and when they were born. And I can go to Ancestry, and within 2 hours, I can normally have a complete record back to 1850 with no trouble at all.
Wow.
And then Ancestry is great. It's two sites, Ancestry.com and FamilyTree.org.
Now, FamilyTree.org is a subsidiary of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, the Mormons.
Right.
And they are really into family genealogy.
They're really into family genealogy. Their library in Salt Lake City is the largest genealogy library in the world.
Wow.
We've been there once. We're going back in December.
They also have libraries scattered around the country, one of which is in this temple in Shreveport.
Yes, they have family history centers where you can go and you can order the microfilm and view it there. They can help you with it. But you can actually order the microfilm and have it sent to the Broadmoor Library and go there and view it. They're one of the dedicated or family history centers.
How did you get into genealogy?
Well, my maternal side, my Colvins, now they had done a lot of genealogy work. They had reunions and like I told you before, Baker Colvin had put together a book. Mm-hmm. This was before computers.
Right.
On a typewriter, he typed it all in, visited the courthouses. It's about yay thick.
Wow.
On the Colvins, traces them all the way back to South Carolina. And when they came in, he did a lot of interviews of people, which you don't get too much today in genealogy.
Because it's the story. That's the story behind.
And so that was interesting. Mother was really into it. And after Mother and Daddy passed away, which is a mistake, if you're going to do genealogy, do it while your parents are still there.
While you can still talk to your folks,
And
it's one of the reasons we're doing this program today, to maybe disperse some 30 and 40-year-olds and not wait till we're 50 and 60 to do this.
So I started...
What I wouldn't give to be able to talk to one of my grandmothers, or even my parents, to be able to know some of these stories.
You mentioned that our November meeting for Gen Com is going to be that. If I could invite one of my ancestors to sit down and share Thanksgiving dinner with me, who would it be? And what would I ask him? That's the whole theme of the meeting. So, see, that's what we do.
All right, now your meetings, so since you mentioned them, they're the fourth Sunday of every month.
Fourth Sunday of every month.
At the Shreve Memorial Library, Broadmoor Branch.
Right,
Starts at 2 o'clock
Right,
every
so-
fourth Sunday.
Every fourth Sunday.
Last a couple of hours. And every month, right?
Every month.
Are there dues? Do we just show up? Do we need to be invited? How do we come?
You don't have to join, but membership is $15 a year, family or individual. And we have a monthly newsletter, my wife does, and all
So
information.
you and your wife are really in this together.
We're hub deep in it. Both of us are in it, and we're together in it. It's great for us because we're both retired. It has given us something to work on together, so it works.
I think that's fantastic. Now, one of the things that I want to do today, I want to talk a little bit when we come back from our break about just exactly how to get started.
Okay.
But the other thing that I want to talk about is it's very interesting. DNA.
Yes.
We hear that all over the place. I didn't know until talking to you recently, when we first talked, that, and it makes total sense after you explained it, DNA is a big part of genealogical research in the 21st century.
Huge, and it's growing all the time.
And you have a story to tell us about DNA and
meeting my cousins.
meeting your cousin, and so we'll do that. This is amazing stuff. I can see that, I'm kind of tongue-in-cheek here, Jim, but we've used the term addiction.
Yeah.
I've used the term addiction because that's what I do in therapy as a psychotherapist, but it can get addictive on you, can it?
Yeah, 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. Many mornings you get started on something on the computer and you don't want to stop because you don't think you can get back there, so you stay up and
oh, wow.
lose a lot of sleep.
We're not going to make you lose sleep right now. We're going to go to break. We'll come back. We'll continue our conversation today with our life strategist, Jim Jones, who is president of Gen Com, talking about genealogy and who's going to fall out of your family tree when you shake it. We'll be right back.
Storms come up fast. Storm Protect Your Family now. We want you to know a safe room or storm shelter can provide the highest protection for your family during tornadoes and other severe windstorms. To learn more about how you can protect your family and property from storms, visit getagameplan.org and click on Mitigation Plan. Louisiana, we can do this. This mitigation message brought to you by the Governor's Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Preparedness.
I never should have clicked on that link. It promised to unlock the secret of male enhancement, but it didn't. All it did was brag to my entire friend list that I had found a cure for the average male and that they should try it too. You know, once you spam your mom with a message telling her to increase the size of her manhood, family dinners have been a little weird.
In 1977, in Johannesburg, South Africa, an 8-year-old boy picked up the game of golf from his father. By the age of 9, he was already outplaying him. The odds of this gentle lad winning the Junior World Golf Championships at the age of 14, 1 in 16 million. The odds of that same boy then making it to the US and European Pro Golf Tours, 1 in 7 million. The odds of the Big Easy winning the Open Championship once and the US Open Championship twice, 1 in 780 million. The odds of this professional golfer having a child diagnosed with autism, 1 in 110. Only Else encourages you to learn the signs of autism at autismspeaks.org. Early diagnosis can make a lifetime of difference.
Coast Guard Foundation gave me funds to attend school. During that same time, my wife was pregnant. The foundation's grant allowed us to buy food, diapers, clothing.
Coast Guard Foundation really helps us to keep in touch with our families. They make an impact, and it leaves an impression that you don't forget.
I would like to thank the Coast Guard Foundation for helping out when times were tough.
Because sometimes, even the rescuers need to be rescued. The Coast Guard Foundation, proudly supporting the men and women of the United States Coast Guard and their families. Find out how you can help at rescuetherescuers.org.
And welcome back into Strategies for Living. Thanks to Bossier Parish Community College, you're watching Strategies for Living today. But don't forget you can listen to Strategies for Living on the radio, where it all began. News Radio 710 Keel every Sunday morning between 9:05 and 10 o'clock. That's Strategies for Living. You can also find us online, www.strategiesforliving.com. And Jim Jones, if you go to strategiesforliving.com, you can read my article. You never know what's going to fall out of your family tree.
I've read it.
When you shake it. And I hope I did genealogy.
You did. You did.
Proud.
You did.
And thank you for being here today. You're the president of GenCom, which is the Genealogical Computer Society. And we can go to you at gencomla.wordpress.com, right?
Right.
One thing people need to know is the libraries are a great place to start, because we were talking with some of the folks here, and a lot of people know, one of the things that blocked me, because I'm a cheapskate, when I would start to do this on Ancestry.com, I would get so far and then Ancestry would pop up, okay, well now you owe us to stay on here. And I'm such a cheapskate, that's when I would get off. But the libraries, especially the Shreve Memorial Libraries, give you access to Ancestry.com, I understand.
Right, all the libraries, Shreve Memorial Libraries, all have access to Ancestry.com and a site called Fold 3, which is has military records, so
Wow.
Civil War.
So that's paid for by the libraries, the service of the library.
You can take your own computer up there, or you can use their computers. They have quite a few other sites that are free that you can use there. And the genealogy department of the Shreve Memorial Library is at Broadmoor. It's a separate department.
So they can help you then.
And they've got personnel there that can help you at any time, getting on the site, showing you how to do it.
Now again, the GenCom's monthly meetings, fourth Sunday,
Yes.
2 o'clock at the Broadmoor Library.
Broadmoor Library.
Broadmoor Shreve Memorial Library.
Now-
Anybody can come.
Right. Now this month, October 26th, Saturday, this Saturday, we're not having our fourth Sunday meeting. It's on the fourth Saturday.
Saturday, okay.
It's called GenFest.
GenFest.
And we set up the large meeting room where we meet with tables, all subjects of genealogy, from DNA to pedigree charts to using your computer.
wow.
And the public is invited to come in, look around, see what we do, talk
Fantastic.
to us, and we'll help you with getting started on anything.
Let's talk about this DNA thing.
Okay.
Because DNA is a fantastic science that has helped solve a lot of crimes and even freed people from prison. But it's got a genealogical component. How does that work?
Well, the forensics, like you're talking about, has been around for years.
Right.
Okay. Now, sometime around the year 2000, Greenspan was his name, and he's behind the family tree DNA, decided that could be used for genealogy. And so he started working that. And
Building a database,
and
right?
it has grown in 13 years now to something phenomenal.
Now, you've got a story about
I have.
your DNA.
I have. The way I got started on DNA, I was another one of those late night things. I read about DNA. I'm sitting there on the computer on Ancestry.com, and I'm looking at it, and see a group of people that have taken DNA tests, and the group is titled "The Descendants of Hugh Jones of Orange County, Virginia." I said, I think that's my
That
ancestor.
might be your ancestry.
So I ordered a test, joined the group. I matched the group.
Okay.
we right now have 5 cousins that we have matched and traced our ancestor through that matching back to Hugh Jones in Virginia in 1700.
Wow.
And one of those was the administrator of the group was Carolyn Jones Modica. And she had her brother tested. Since this is Y-DNA, it follows a male line. So she had her brother tested, and I had talked to her, that was 4 or 5 years ago. And I talked to her on the phone, but we've never met. We've emailed. I went down last week to talk to the AR group on DNA. She invited me down. So I went down and met her, and I can't really describe the feeling.
Wow.
I'm sitting there, I'm talking to a fifth cousin, once removed,
Yeah.
that I would never have met, never known existed.
Right.
I've got a Steve Jones out in Arizona. I've never met him, but I've corresponded with him.
Right.
But I had never, and we went out to dinner that night and ate, and I'm sitting across the table and I'm looking at her, and totally uncanny was the resemblance of her to my daughter.
Wow.
And that made me think DNA is real. This is really happening here.
Of course it is.
It really is. It's just
And you met a member of your family that you would have never,
Yeah.
ever had the opportunity to meet
right.
otherwise.
I never would have. I think I've got 6 direct cousins through Y-DNA.
Now, is the DNA testing that you did hard, or is it just doing a swab in your
It's in your
saliva?
family tree. DNA sends you a swab. 2 swabs. You do the. We've tested cousins to increase our database and keep relations. We meet them at restaurants, and before they eat, we swab right there.
All right. Now, we may, hopefully, folks who are watching us right now are intrigued, maybe for their own families. What's the starting place, Jim? I mean, certainly come to the meeting.
Yeah.
You know, you're invited to the meeting. But in between, right now, can anybody that's watching us jump on and start?
They can start.
Okay.
The best thing to do is start gathering what you start with, where you are.
What you know.
What you know.
So
and
like
you
in my
work
case,
backwards.
I knew the names of my 2 grandmothers.
Right.
I knew, obviously, my mother and father, and my brother and sister, and my grandparents.
Yeah.
Even though I'd never met my grandfathers, I knew their names. So that's where I started.
And the best thing to do is take that information and organize it as a pedigree chart and a family group sheet. The library has copies of those. And you start filling all the information. If you don't know something, leave it blank, because that's what you're trying to find out. But you put it down on one sheet of paper, like 4 generations, and you can look at your family and begin to determine that. And then the family groups, or each of those families, you list the husband, wife, and the children. And you take that information and you go to the library and you start your research. But that's the starting point.
The Mormon group that we mentioned, and that's Family Tree.
No, it's Family Search.
FamilySearch.org. They have a fan chart
Yes,
in addition to the traditional chart that you see. But there's an 800 number on that line where you can call and they'll actually help you.
Yeah.
I've not called it,
that,
but
that site is free.
yes, it is.
And they have, I call FamilySearch.org my courthouse on the internet, because what they're doing.
It's that good then.
It's that good. They have gone for years, back in the 60s or 70s. They started going to courthouses, repositories, archives, and taking microfilm of what was there. And they got it stored in a big cave in Utah. And you can access that. You can order the microfilm, or if you go out there, you can access it there. But they are digitizing that, put it on the computer. Where right now I can go to Union County, Arkansas, El Dorado. I went 10 years ago and found my granddaddy's probate records. Right now I can sit down at the computer and call those records up, because they put it on there.
That's amazing. Jim Jones, I wish we could go on and on. I know you could talk about this for hours and hours, couldn't you?
Yes.
All right. So the main thing that you would leave our viewers with is what?
Well, let me say something here if I got that. DNA group, I have a DNA SIG group that meets on the 3rd Wednesday of every month at 10 o'clock in the morning at the library.
Okay.
We answer questions on beginners and experts.
Lots of access then. Get to the Broadmoor Library.
Get to the Broadmoor Library, find out.
Of Sri Memorial Library. And again, you're telling me information I didn't know. There's a separate section there
Yeah.
for and a person to help you all the time.
It's a great section. I mean, it's one of the best in this area.
Wow. So that might be the starting place.
That would be the place to put down all the information you know, first of all, because they're going to ask about that, because that's what you're going to need to ask questions at the library.
I got to warn everybody, this stuff is addictive. You're going to be ready to stay up some nights that you're not used to, but you get accustomed to it after a while, and it's fun.
Yeah.
It's and the sense that you get, the family sense that you get, again, is just indescribable.
It is unreal. It really is.
The GenCom, Genealogy and Computer Group, meets the fourth Sunday at 2 p.m. at the Broadmoor Library. That's the Sri Memorial Library, about a 2-hour meeting. Jim Jones, thank you so much for coming and being a part of Strategies for Living.
I enjoyed it.
Folks, thank you for coming and being a part of Strategies for Living. We're here each and every Monday at this time. And don't forget, we're on the radio, News Radio 710 Keel, Sundays 9:05 to 10. And so join us there or at www.strategiesforliving.com. For Mr. Jim Jones, I'm marriage and family therapist David McMillan. I'll see you next time here on Strategies for Living.